Are your hips tight? Do you have a few minutes? Because I think we should stretch. Let's do just a little stretch together. You're gonna feel so much better after this. Have a seat on the floor. Let's open everything up. Cross your right leg, super normal stretch. Lift your hip, get that knee nice and close, drop it down. Take a nice deep breath, drop your shoulders. You're gonna rotate towards the leg that's in front and just pull that knee in nice and tight. So we're gonna hold each of these stretches long enough to kind of like, take a breath and get into it, but we're not like achieving contortionist status today, okay? So that's what you get to expect from this video. So a little pulling of that knee. We're gonna take your bottom foot and set it flat on the floor. So guess what? Your whole shape should be kind of right there already. Figure 4. Scoot your hips in towards your heel and then push up through your chest to maximize that stretch. Just give me a nice little windshield wiper movement side to side. Again, a nice like breath into the hip. We're not taking this like into sleepy time or a very zen like meditation stretch. We're just trying to ease up some tight hips, okay? From that same position, I want you to try to stack your shins. So your bottom foot needs to come away from your sit bones. And we're gonna try to stack the shins like a little log cabin. My knee apparently doesn't want to go down because I'm feeling tight here today too. So some of you might be like, I don't even feel this, and you need to lay all the way forward. And some of you might be crying just trying to get your knee down. So everyone's hips are different. Let's celebrate the diversity of the hips. I get a nice breath into there. Walk down where you can. Now for me, when I think hips, I'm thinking butt, glutes, especially medial glute, and then up and around into the hip flexors and a little bit like into the grindy part of the hip joint, like what makes our hips feel good. So we're gonna try to touch on that, but we have 2 legs to do, so it's not gonna be too long or too crazy. Walk towards your front foot, the one that's on the top, and pull your hip back. So this gets the back of the hip, one of my favorite positions to hold. Love it so much. This top foot is gonna unfold for a quick hip flexor stretch on the floor. So it looks like this. If I'm taking my top leg, I'm just gonna swing it around to kind of like a double attitude position. Come down to your opposite elbow and drive your hip forward. There she is. There it is, a nice stretch. If you don't feel that, you can spiral around. You're welcome to take a little more of a quad stretch here, depending on what's sore and tight for you. And I'm trying to get hip flexor a little bit. I love it. I love it so much. I'm still feeling it. That's why I'm quiet. Cool. So we're going to come up to the other side, finish that, and then we're going to end up with a little bit more hip flexor and like a little straddle stretch, because inner thighs are a big component, a big player in the integrity and the health of your hip joint as a whole. So pull that knee in, drop the sit bone, a little length through the spine, a little twist. Woo! So for me, I get a lot of hip flexor compression, which is also really, really nice for hip health. We can't go wrong with that. So you might feel outer glute stretch and hip flexor compression. All good things. We're loving it. Okay, so that comes into the figure 4. That's our first iteration, I'll flip this way, of that opposite side hip, really stretching. Just sit with your body for a second. If you don't feel this, your hips are probably too far away and you're too rounded. So try opening up the chest into that position. Oh, I'm starting to feel zen. Oh, that will happen when you're stretching your hips. I meant for this to be a pretty lively video and I'm already like, it just feels good. Good to stretch those hips. Back up your hips and we're gonna cross into that same log stack position. So try to truly stack your shins. Usually what I see is we keep that bottom foot too tight and we don't get the full stretch. So stretch it out. See how this hip is. How's this side? Equal? Better? Worse? Again, just as our hips different from person to person, one hip might differ from the other hip, okay? They're not identical twins. Walk over slightly towards the foot that's on the top. Oh, I love this so much. I've said this before in videos, but we store a lot of our emotional stress in our hips, and you can ask any massage therapist about that, some different people that do body work. They usually have an opinion on it, and it just makes sense, you know, because we are physical, emotional, spiritual beings. What did we do after this? Take that leg and turn it inside out. I just don't want to give you a crutch shot. Double attitude, come down to the opposite elbow, hip forward, and see what you find there. Listen to your body. So all I'm saying is we should be stretching the hips just to stay, you know, healthy, well-rounded, well-adjusted to our lives. And if you're feeling like just really stuck, you might want to just take a little time to stretch or roll out on a tennis ball, get that up in your glutes a little bit. It can really help relax you. So Google it. When in doubt, Google it. Ooh, I'm feeling a lot of hip flexor, so I'm going to stay for a minute. Good. Okay, one last little hip flexor stretch here. Come to hands and knees. And then you're just going to toss, let's see, what leg did I did my left leg first, and you probably did your right leg. So put your right leg forward and drive the hip to the front. I'm going to give you 2 iterations of this. Everybody knows this stretch, but it feels so glorious. If you're over it and this is not new and fun and fresh, you're going to just come up to a more upright kneeling position. You're going to tuck your hip under, drive your knee down so that you're getting a lot of length here. Take your hands behind your head and drop your chin. Oh, mama. There is a slightly different stretch. It goes a little more to the groin here, but it's also really good. So spend a moment breathing through either that stretch or your runner's lunge. Just keeping it simple. We're gonna do the other side, our little straddle, and you're done. So switch legs. Other side, maybe you did a little bit of both like I did, so feel it out. And then if you wanna try that upright one, remember send your knee down, tuck your hips under, drop your chin. I pull slightly on the back of my head. Doesn't look like much, but when you find it, ooh, it's so good. Good, last little position, and I'm gonna turn this way because I just worked out before this and I don't know if I have crotch sweat. There might be a little bit. You know, it's normal, nothing wrong with that. But this is my better side, so I'm gonna switch over this way. Anyway, straddle your legs, whatever you're working with. Even if you're super flexible, maybe you wanna try a smaller straddle and work the hips. This is a hip stretch video, not an inner thigh stretching video. So we wanna work with the mobility of the hips. But when you think about it, your hip as a joint, the inner thigh is part of it. It just got dark in here. So go to a comfortable straddle position, and we're not getting crazy, okay? We're just gonna take a breath here and then wrap it up because I wanna be conscious of your time. So a little of that rocking side to side can feel really nice. By nice, I mean like it should feel like your groin is tearing apart. That's what you're going for. If you can get down to your elbows, I'm usually pretty impressed. I feel like that's pretty flexible. Take a few deep breaths. This is weird, but try to spread your pelvis apart. Like visualize your whole pelvis, like you had control over your bones. And what your bones do, try to let your pelvis feel heavy and almost open. I'm thinking open because I've had a few kids and definitely have opened the pelvis, but helps you relax in those hips. And then come up, we're just gonna slowly wiggle those legs back together. And that's it, just a nice little stretch. You can do that routine anytime you have a few minutes, and I guarantee you're gonna feel just a little more adjusted to your life and just feeling a little better throughout your day. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. See you next time.